How to gain power for yourself. Now, a lot of people will probably hear that, and the first thing that they think to themselves is, I don't want to do that. I don't want power. Look what power does. Power is evil. Power creates corruption. Power creates separation. This is the collective way. I think this is what the Bible was trying to warn us of. They ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, or the knowing of good and evil. And so what we as humans do is that we compartmentalize things into either being a good aspect or an evil aspect. There's good and evil. And what we end up doing is we end up being in opposition to things. And so when I say that you can gain power, if you live within the collective mindset, you would say, I don't want power. I don't want power because power creates corruption. Power creates the evilness. And I don't want that. But what I would do is I would suggest another way to think. Whenever you see or you feel this idea of needing to compartmentalize something or to label it as good or bad, that there's two versions of that truth. This is where we get into paradoxes and always understanding that there's a reciprocal to something. Whenever I go into a situation and somebody's trying to convince me of something, I always say there's probably a soul's version of this and there's probably an ego version. The ego version of every kind of aspect of being a human is us trying to create an identity. It is the ego's version is separating ourselves from God or edging God out, like Wayne Dyer said. And then there's a soul level aspect to everything. So what I'm trying to bring across in this video about power is to not compartmentalize power. Like the collective wants you to be against power because you see these politicians doing these evil things and this sort of thing. What I want you to be on the side of powerful things that bring us together. And we also shrink ourselves when we say, but I'm not powerful. I don't have the money of Donald Trump. I don't have the celebrity of Brad Pitt. I don't have the power of the president. I don't have these powers. Not everybody can achieve these powers, but everybody can achieve the power of compassion, the power of love. And we all know that these powers are incredible forces in this earth. And what we know about compassion and love is that these are aspects that are godly. These aren't the things that separate us. These are the things, this is the type of power that brings us together. And so whenever you think of, I'll just give you this idea that when something seems to appear where we need to compartmentalize something into a dualistic state of good and evil, that another way to focus on this is to not be against things, but yet to find out what's the soul's version of this. And this happens in so many of our human aspects and being human. And these are the things that dwell within us that we can't quite articulate. I'll just give you a quick example. If we were to we just used power, so I'll use the example of jealousy. Jealousy can take the form of the ego, in the idea that what we're looking for in jealousy, what kind of energy that comes up as a human, and the ego version of that is control over another person. And we create that energy, and then we need to control that other person in order to make them do what we want. But there's a soul or a deeper reasoning, because there is this aspect that we know that we need jealousy in our lives. There is a deeper version of jealousy, which is to create a vessel of energy, which means that in a relationship, we all feel this, there is this aspect that is just a human nature of modesty in a relationship. And so when we practice modesty, what we're offering to the other person is this positive aspect and creating a vessel of intimacy to bring out into the world. And so so what I'm trying to get across there is that when you normally hear the collective idea of jealousy, we immediately say, oh, that jealousy is evil, and we compartmentalize it. It's really to look at that it's okay that there is a yearning for us to be jealous. But if you are trying to control somebody with your jealousy, you're edging yourself apart from somebody else. But if you have this wanting for intimacy, this jealousy that is a soul's version, you bring a positive aspect to a relationship. And it's just an articulation of what already goes on inside of us humans. So how do you gain power? How does everybody gain power? Become your authentic self. When you do this, everything else comes back together. And when you don't go in opposition of something, don't be against war, be for peace. You live in a different state of grace, and you live in a soul's version or a deeper version of being your quintessential authentic self.